All right, welcome back, guys. I'm here with Tony, Floyd. You guys were with us on the last episode, so we don't need to do introductions again.
Thank goodness.
And
Yeah, thank God,
I
right?
apologize for wearing the same shirt 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah,
That's
just
all
let's
right.
get
Hey,
into it. Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah.
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 Hey, I
No,
got
I
my
have
same stuff on. We're
Hey,
good.
should I
This
just
is
take
the
my
day
shirt
I
off?
always wanted
Should I take
no,
my
no,
shirt
no,
off?
no,
No
no.
shirt
We're
off.
good.
Okay,
We're
all
good.
right,
We're good. We're
okay,
good.
all right.
I don't know, maybe not. I mean, maybe we could raise some money that way.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
yeah, people can like we can put a
This
bid. Like,
this
should Tony
this
keep his
body
shirt on, or should
this
Tony
body
keep
is this body's only for my wife. Nobody else.
Oh, that's sweet.
slather it
Sad.
up
And sad,
In
right?
its own thing.
Go down.
Sweet and sad.
Yeah. All right.
So,
we
we
ruined
talked
that
last
episode
week.
already.
Huh?
We
What
ruined this
happened?
episode already.
Yeah, I know. Mike's gonna have to edit that shit.
This has really taken a turn, so we're gonna pull it back. The good thing that I wanted to talk about with you guys, I think between the three of us, I think the thing that binds us together or is Star Wars. So we've all had different thoughts about Star Wars. We've all had similar thoughts about Star Wars. I know for me, growing up, Floyd, I know you and we watched those movies over and over again. We listened to the books on tape. We listened to the soundtracks. We lived through the original trilogy.
We went and watched all three of them on the big screen in one night.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did. I was there.
We
With
did.
you.
Tony was there with that.
Yeah.
So I figured that would be where we're going to take this episode. We're going to talk about the original trilogy. I think we can talk about our thoughts about the original trilogy. We can even dive into maybe some of the special edition changes, some of that stuff.
Let's just talk about the pure Star Wars that we grew up with. I don't want to talk about. I don't want to waste any time on that special edition bullshit.
We'll see where. I know it's going to take us there. It's
I know.
going to, because
Yeah.
even thinking about some of the stories of let's just get into it. So I remember when we went and saw the trilogy. It was in Anaheim. We went and saw,
Yeah.
Cinemapolis.
Cinemapolis.
Yes, it was.
and I remember sitting next to Floyd during The Empire Strikes Back when the asteroid hit and the guy disappeared, and I never saw that.
Really?
I don't remember that because we had always seen it in
The letterbox form. Yeah, where it was
pan and scan.
Pan and scan.
And it opened up so much that I remember looking at the sides, of the movies, catching all these little tiny details. So Tony, we'll go with you real quick. Let's talk about Star Wars. Where was the first time you saw Star Wars, and when did you see it?
I saw it when I was 5 years old, and actually I saw it at a drive-in. It was
Yeah.
the Highway 39 drive-in that was in Stanton, California. My dad took me to see it. There was another movie that was playing with it. I can never, for the life of I can never remember what that film was.
Right.
But I just remember watching Star Wars, and I was 4 years old. I was with my parents. We're in a station wagon, and it's one of the very first memories that I have. And and I think that is why my obsession with film has begun, because it is really one of those things that's just ingrained in my memory. I was not as familiar with Star Wars as you and Floyd. I mean, you guys breathed it. I lived and breathed it, but I had three other brothers, and I couldn't, and they didn't want to watch Star Wars. They were busy doing other things, like getting in trouble and playing Atari at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not. Yeah, right. And I wanted to just watch film, and I couldn't do that. But and in fact, Mike and Brian, when we went and saw that, there were things that I just never kind of quite picked up on. One of them being the Jedi mind trick. I don't know if you remember that, Mike, but I remember like going, "Oh my God! That's the Jedi mind trick. Oh, okay." And then, oh wow, it's in other films too. I'm like,
Yeah.
For some reason, whatever that may be, I just never linked them together until I saw them back to back and go, "Oh, that's what that is."
Yeah.
But that just tells you the magic of the screen. Again, back to what you were saying. You can watch something on a TV and see it over and over again, but only when you go to the theater and experience it on that big screen and see everything. Take in the sounds, take in the sights, take in the storytelling. That is, again, I've always likened movie theaters to a temple where you just go and you can listen to these stories and these fables, and they have an impact on you. And I can't say more than
It's immersive
it really is, and it imprints on you for the rest of
for
your
sure.
life. So that's why I love these films. This is where my love of cinema was from
Yeah,
these Star Wars films.
right.
So
Floyd, what
Floyd,
about
I
you?
mean, yeah. What about you?
I remember going to see it in Riverside. I was in kindergarten, and I remember not wanting to go see it.
Really?
Yeah, and then there was a girl in
Really?
kindergarten. There
Wow.
was a girl in kindergarten who told me she saw it and it was really good, and there was a hairy Wookiee and a golden robot, and I'd like it. Now, oddly enough, I remember Mike. I remember who the girl was.
Who?
Kelly Franzek.
Franche. Yeah.
Yeah, so she
Wow.
was the one, and so I went and saw it, and I learned it a very important. So we saw it there used to be that. It had one screen and a balcony over there on was it Arlington Avenue, that Arlington
Yeah.
Theater. You
We
know,
saw Freddy the Black Hole there, didn't we?
we saw the black hole there, and then years later we saw Jason Lives there,
Yeah.
and yeah, so we've been there a few times. So we saw it there, and I remember I learned such an important lesson during that movie. I mean, other than I love movies. So I drank a giant soda. So I had to pee when Luke was attacked by the Sand People and when they captured the Millennium Falcon. So when they re-released Star Wars, as they used to do, I didn't drink anything all day. My dad was starting to get worried about me then.
Uh-huh.
No, because I wanted to watch the whole movie.
Right.
And so that was it. But I had to pee at the end, and it was in. My dad's like, "No, you're not going to the bathroom," which is kind of funny for dad to tell. But it's very impressionable. I mean, think about it. It's a movie that changed the movie business
For sure.
in so many ways, and then we catch it just as we're starting to understand what movies are.
Yeah, there was definitely a shift in storytelling
Yeah,
right
Yeah.
at that moment, and that was what captured all of us. I think for me, I like you, Tony. I saw it at Crest Drive-In Theater in Norco, and it was part of a two movie deal. My parents, we went to go see the first movie. For the life of me, I could not tell you what that movie was.
Right? Yeah,
I have
the same
no
here.
idea.
was
And
that
my
that
parents-
movie that Fox made all the theaters take? They
I
made-
I
they
have
made them
no.
take
I
Star
I
Wars-
had no idea.
There was
I had
a
no idea.
thing that this theaters didn't want Star Wars, and Fox says if you don't take Star Wars, you don't get this other one.
Yeah,
And-
that possibly could have been it.
And
That's
that
the
would
one
why,
that no one
that
can
would
remember.
explain why it was up front, because I remember there
Yeah.
was a movie up front and Star
Right.
Wars was like the main feature attraction, right? So in
Right.
that double bill. But yeah, that first film, I just for the life of me cannot remember what the hell it was.
Couldn't tell you either.
Yeah.
But I remember sitting in that drive-in in the back seat, and that first scene when the Star Destroyer is coming over, and I remember looking up at it and thinking to myself, what is going on? And I want to say that I didn't even finish the movie. My parents were like, this isn't very good. And we left 3/4 of the way through it
Oh.
and ended up watching it again at another point. But I distinctly remember sitting there in the drive-in, watching that movie and people, even on Facebook, people name a movie you've seen, more than 10 times. I'm like, I know I've seen Star Wars, Empire, Jedi at least 100 times,
Yeah,
Yeah.
at
easy.
least
Easy.
or more.
Yes.
And those movies, I think,
That's just
are
this year.
yeah, those are my go-to if I ever am I want something in the background. I'll put on a Star Wars movie, or I'll put on Return of the Jedi or stuff like that. But yeah, those Star Wars was definitely an impact for just everything that we do. You guys can't see it, but over on my other wall here, I have all my original figures from when I was a kid, and I played with them. But that goes into collecting and all of this stuff that's behind me. It all started with Star Wars and having those toys. I mean, I have $6 Million Man.
That was genius too. Back at the time.
It was brilliant, and that's how he made his money.
Yeah.
By the way, do you remember this? I don't remember it, but I've read about it now. And
About the card? Are you going to go with the card? Were you the collectible card?
where yeah. So it was basically your toys are coming soon. Sorry,
Yes.
here's an
Yes.
empty box with it.
Yeah,
The
the early bird. It was called the early bird.
Really?
Yeah,
Jeez, it's so crazy. And then again, I think that it was the right time for a film to come out like this, and we were the right ages to kind of just
Absolutely.
be in awe of everything that we're seeing. And then I remember the following like couple of years that on the playground, I would go out for recess, and it wasn't about cowboys and Indians. You were either a stormtrooper or
Yeah.
you were, part of the resistance, and you're going out there, and you're Luke and or
Tony,
I'm
you're part of the
Chewie.
rebellion.
Yeah,
rebellion, not
I'm sorry.
resistance.
I'm sorry. See,
reel him
I
back
just
in.
screwed up. I know. I'm sorry.
Reel him
I
back
have
in
fog
with the
brain.
wrong
It's the
Tony.
alcohol. It's the alcohol. I'm
Wrong
sorry.
Tony.
I'm sorry. All right. You see, geez, I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. No, go ahead, Brian. Go ahead, Doug.
No, I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
But I remember playing Jaws on our stupid thing.
I remember not wanting to go into swimming pools because Jaws was going to get me, so I
Yes.
freshwater, saltwater thing was a little lost on a very young me.
Yeah.
So,
But it
yeah. So, but Mike, you'll remember this. I was Luke Skywalker in first grade for Halloween,
Yeah.
and I had that
Yeah,
inflatable.
you had the
Oh, okay,
you had that inflatable lightsaber.
when I came to your house. Yeah.
You remember that inflatable lightsaber?
No, I don't remember.
Oh,
There
you
was
used,
an
yeah, you
inflatable
used to
one?
blow it up, and so
Yeah.
it was a tube. And
It was
then-
like
and
a
then there was
flashlight.
and then it was
No,
yeah.
You see, my parents had like 4 kids, and I would be lucky if I got like a coat hanger for Christmas, or a shirt, or something else. I never got any cool toys. You know?
I only knew it because Brian had it. That's the only way I used
And,
it.
and I triggered.
I wish I would have had that.
And like the air is leaking out of it, so the top of it is like bent
It
over.
would
Like
start to go.
the force was not strong with me that night.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh! And how was it like? Do you remember like waiting for the next film to come out? Right? I mean,
Yeah.
it was 3 years, and as a kid, you're thinking, "Oh, that's eternity."
Yeah.
In between that, and then also with Jedi, which we
Yeah.
talked about in the last episode. So it
Yeah.
just those 3 years were just so kind of like, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait! I can't wait!" And
But it was crazy because when Empire came out, Brian saw it before I did.
Well, and you know who
And-
saw it before both of us?
Jerome.
Jason Stolp.
oh,
And he
wow.
Well, I remember you
and
telling
he
me.
told us on the playground what happened.
Was that him or was it you?
It wasn't me.
Oh,
He
well, I
told
remember
us.
someone telling me about like the AT-ATs and someone sitting on top of the AT-ATs, and I was like, "What is this?"
Oh no, I
what
might
are
have
they
told. I
talking
might.
about?
I might have told you that, but I
Yeah,
was
you
wrong.
might have. I think it
Hey,
was.
okay,
you.
so hey, I've got I've got a thing about the AT-ATs. So we
Yeah.
call them AT-ATs. Well,
Yeah.
kids nowadays call them AT-ATs.
Yeah.
Do you know this? I had no clue. I'm still going about AT-ATs, and they're Dad. It's AT-AT.
Yeah.
No, it's always been an AT-AT.
It's always
to
been
me.
an AT-AT for me.
Me too. It's just it's weird how they kind of like we're seeing the same thing, but we're interpreting it way differently now. It's
But
so
I think
weird.
I think though that we interpret these things based on the toys.
True.
Because
Yes.
I believe they called them AT-AT walkers
On the commercials.
in the advertising for the toys.
Okay, all right.
And only until people got older and they wanted the all-terrain armored transports and all that stuff.
Well, you know,
But
the
I
other
remember
part-
the AT-AT walker.
Yeah, well,
Huh?
when the Scout Walker came out and it was ATST, I think that changed everything too.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Yeah.
but no, Empire was a big deal, and so I remember seeing it at the Tyler Mall. My cousin Jimmy took me to see it at the opening show at noon, and that was the first time I was in a movie that I recall where people were cheering.
Mm.
I mean, they were probably cheering in the first Star Wars, but I was like, but they were cheering whenever a character came on screen. So, like the first 20 minutes of the movie, I heard no dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
They were just
Yeah.
they were just cheering, and but I remember playing Empire Strikes Back a lot, especially at your house. We put the wooden things on the poles,
Yeah.
and then we would hang off the pipe corrals like we were hanging below Bespin.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Yeah, we actually had the
remember,
whole final fight choreographed.
I don't remember that.
I do, and then they throw the styrofoam igloo cooler like Vader was using stuff. You don't remember that?
No.
Oh yeah,
I remember
what-
trying to fool you. That because I wanted to be the guy that was up on the toys. Because
Oh.
Brian always had like the cool toys, and I remember thinking to myself, I gotta outdo this guy.
That is Mike's nice
I had
way of
to-
saying my mom really spoiled me and probably shouldn't have.
Oh no, it worked. But I remember I had the
I
stupid
did. I
Han
was
Solo from
completely
Star Wars.
spoiled. You're right.
You were spoiled.
I
And
still am.
I had Han Solo with the vest on, and I remember I took my mom's mascara and I had painted the arms on the Han Solo figure. And I remember going out to the fence going, "Hey, Brian, look what I got. I got Han Solo with the long sleeves." And it was far enough away that he couldn't see it. And he's like, "No, that's not it." And I'm like, "Nope, it is, but I'm going to keep it like this. You're not going to be able to see it. You're not going to be able to examine it."
Oh,
But
jeez.
that was it. I mean, our life, I think, revolved around those types of
Oh,
things.
how about this?
Yeah.
How about this? So Han Solo, he gets frozen in carbonite at the end. So what do we start doing? We start taking red Solo cups and
Yeah.
freezing our Star Wars
Freezing
figures
our
overnight.
Solo figures. Yeah.
In ice, really?
We'd have these ice cubes with Han Solo sideways in there
And
because
Mike,
he never.
Mike would be like, "Let's try. I'm going to try to freeze him in a bowl this time."
Yeah, so I could be screen accurate.
So he's like,
Were you over there like sculpting the ice too to make it like look like he was in there? You put him in the pose and everything, Mike, or
No,
what?
I mean the soldier just sat there. You know what I mean? So you're like, but
But yeah, I'm surprised you didn't have him like
would
this.
Start chipping away at
because
the
he'd have been like
ice.
this.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, he would have been like this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny.
Oh god, yeah,
We had some fun.
Remember riding bikes up to Circle K and getting the trading cards?
Yeah.
I spent way too much money on trading cards.
You know what?
Bubble
Don't
gum, that
you
was
think-
horrible.
Don't you think that is something that is lost with like generations since? Oh, what's that, Mike? Oh,
It's a
wow.
book that they came up with all of the trading cards.
Yes.
And you can all the different colors and everything. I have it for Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi. And
Wow.
gives you the packaging. Remember that stale gum that was in there?
Yeah. Oh, that was so horrible.
My mouth hurts just thinking about it.
Mine does too.
Yeah.
But
Everyone thought I broke that tooth roller skating. No, it's on the gum.
I just
Were you gonna say,
feel,
Tony?
I just feel that the kids nowadays just miss out on that stuff, and I talk a lot about how we're kind of missing this connection, and those things, the way that we talked about our toys, the way now everything is just nothing is a mystery anymore to anyone. You can go on
Right.
the internet and find anything that you want at any given time. Kids are using they're being raised. I'm watching kids before they're interacting with people, they're playing with their iPads, and to
Right.
me, it's just I don't know. I'm kind of scared about it because I wish people would just go outside and be a kid. Go play.
Yeah.
I'm going to get it right this time. The Resistance versus the bad guys. It's
Yeah.
just. Did I get that right? No. I
Rebellion.
screwed up. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just
That's all right.
mad.
It was Resistance at one point.
Yeah. So, all right.
Well, put it
I'm-
this way: they were resisting. They just weren't calling
Yeah.
themselves that.
Yeah.
Yes,
I-
the rebellion.
actually,
That's what I meant. Jeez,
They
what
were
am I thinking?
terrorists, actually.
Yes, yeah, they were terrorists. Yeah. Well, you see, that's what I'm getting to is nowadays
Right.
these people, the rebellion is now seen as a bunch of terrorists,
Right.
and were they doing the right thing? And
Right.
it's just like, can't we go back to a simpler time? I just wish that folks would get out, see these films, they would go play with these toys, be
Right.
kids, and just explore and use your imagination.
Exactly.
But I think
That's it.
everything's. Go ahead.
It's imagination. That's what it is.
I know.
Because I have 3 girls, and my oldest and my middle daughter, they don't play with toys. They've never really have been toy players. They never really at all. My youngest, who I think is probably the most like me imagination wise, can spend hours just playing with her toys, imagining other things. But that's the thing is we grew up in a generation of use your imagination, play with your
Yeah.
toys, and look at what came out of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now we're getting a lot of just, I think, very simple things where not really too much imagination. All the people who are producing these good movies, you got like Jon Favreau's, and they're our age.
Yeah,
They
I know.
grew up playing with those.
Isn't
figures
it kind
and
of
doing
funny they had to
stuff.
go back and get guys that have these memories to do this right?
Yeah,
Well-
yeah. And Kevin Feige's around,
Right.
and he swears allegiance to Star Wars above anything else. That is where he became a fan, just like we did. So these folks that are now our age that are making these big blockbuster films. In fact, Jon Favreau, in my opinion, is single-handedly right now, and this is another subject for another show, is single-handedly not single-handedly, but with Dave Filoni saving what I think is the rest of the Star Wars universe right now.
For sure.
and it comes from that love, that genuine care and affection for these experiences and these memories of us exploring our imagination through these stories. And that
Right.
is the most beautiful thing. And I wish more folks would get out and kind of just do that and encourage their kids to go out and play in the yard for a
Well,
little
no,
bit.
no, not only that, but it made good and evil real clear.
Yes.
Sure.
And it gave
Yeah.
you a hero, and it gave you a hero to root for, and people and friends. I mean, what's funny is you get down to the Return of the Jedi. When I was younger, I always thought that was a weird thing for the Emperor to say to him about your faith in your friends is your weakness.
Hmm.
And I'm like, geez, what would my life be without my friends and my faith in them?
Yeah.
And it's but it's those connections that matter. And it's pretty, but yeah, no, I mean, kids, we needed heroes.
Yeah.
And he gave us heroes.
And I think that and right now everybody's so focused on the anti-hero or how complex things are, or but they're
Well, we've
getting
been
so
here
wrapped up
before.
in the individuals, and they're getting so wrapped up in the individual stories that they're forgetting about those connections, those friends. I mean,
We need a myth.
yes, exactly.
Mhm.
Where friends are included and are as integral a part of your story on the screen. We're not seeing that. I see. I think the closest we've come to so far, and this is going to be quite a stretch, but Superbad, where you had these kids that was me growing up as a teenager. I hate to admit it, but that was me, and that was you, Mike, and that was you, not Brian, so much. But
I
again,
may not have been McLovin, but I was Jeff Spicoli.
yes, but you see, it was those things are the things that I feel like kids are missing out on right now is those connections with and creating this stuff, especially with the year that we've been through, where
Right.
you kind of all are isolated and getting on each other's nerves and family. I think the 20s, in my opinion, should be about this reconnection and revisiting these things and using new mythologies to kind of go out and use your imagination as a kid and get
Right.
outside and enjoy things.
But there's, you know what though? But the myth and the hero and all that stuff lasts. It's the reason that go to any bookstore and look how many different editions of Lord of the Rings you can buy.
Right.
So true.
It lasts. And I think when you look at that, you look at Star Wars and you look at Harry Potter, it lasts. And they're all, at the end of the day, they're all kind of the same story.
Right.
Yeah.
But guess what?
Sure.
Like a good story told in a unique point of view, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can tell when they phone it in, and you can tell when someone's looking at the marketing numbers too much.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Well,
to me, that's the difference between, and this is a whole nother different show, but that's the difference between DC and Marvel to me, is just the whole imagination and are you in it for the storytelling or are you in it for the bucks?
Yeah.
And
And
there's-
right now there's a
storytelling
crisis
equals a
that's
lot
going
of
there.
bucks.
Huh?
Good storytelling
that?
equals a lot of bucks.
right.
I mean,
Well,
seriously.
You got to have a plan.
Yeah. So I mean, with you see,
Well, also, you have to,
and
you
this
have to
in
not
this
please
product.
everybody.
Yeah, and Mike, this is again your creation right now. This fan cave is because of that connection. We're on here because of you,
Right.
and because 35 years ago, this one or these three films
Right.
we found common bond in, and our relationships and our friendships have grown out of this love of this series, right? And
Right.
we've been through all of this stuff that in our lives together. Yes, we come in and out as within our lives, but at the end of the day, I know I could always pick up a phone and call either one of you, and you've either got my back or you're going to tell me that I need to straighten my shit up or tell me
Right.
that I need to do something to fix the situation that I'm in. I
sure.
I rely on you guys to tell me the truth, even when it's the hardest to hear. And all of that stemmed from a silly movie
Mhm.
about a boy that was trying to take on, the Empire. And
Yeah.
that is just, at the end of the day, is something that is just so magical and so awe-inspiring that just something like that could form help us form a relationship over the years like we do have right
Right.
now. So.
Yeah, and
And the good thing about these movies and what this whole time period is for us is it happened everywhere.
Yep.
Brian lived next door to me, and we shared a lot of this stuff, early on and as it was happening. But when we became friends,
Yeah,
and
I moved. I moved
you
from another school from
you were
Garden
from a
Grove.
whole nother area, but you still went through that as well.
Yep.
And I think that's why these movies are so important to us. And when we say, when I say, and I tell you, you guys know me, I'm very opinionated on my continuities and stuff like that. But it's because I was buried so deep in these movies, and they mean so much to me that it feels like a part of me. Like I'm talking
Yes.
about a family, or I'm talking about a brother or a sister.
Yeah.
Because that is what I had. That's what I had at that time. So I'm protective of it, and I have my opinions and so on and so forth. But I also, that's why we like talking about it so much.
yeah. Well,
You know,
and you know
and-
what's funny though is it goes back. So I would go to my mom's on the weekends, as you would remember, and there would be a new Starlog magazine. And in Starlog, especially
Starlog, man, I forgot about it.
82
I
and
love that magazine so much.
Oh, it was great, and so they always had something that was cool. So 82 and 83, there was a lot of stuff for Return of the Jedi, and I like after I read it, was the first thing I did.
remember
I
that.
would come home on Sunday, and Mike would be on restriction, so I would go meet him in his window.
Yeah.
I actually thought Mike should call his show "Hanging Out at the Fence" because we hung out at that fence so much.
I spent a lot of time at that fence.
That was a good time. But and that's the thing. Star Wars is a shared experience. It's not fun to watch it on your own. And by the way, Tony, on behalf of all of us, we love you for taking us to see the Galaxy's Edge preview.
Yeah.
And by the way,
Okay.
Tony's
All right.
where's Mike
Yes.
and Brian? Well, they keep going through the single rider line for the Millennium Falcon.
That was so. Yes, yeah. I'm going to fast forward a bit here to 2019. I worked for the Walt Disney Company at the time. Worked at Disneyland, and I had an opportunity. I think I gave you guys maybe a week's notice, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't even. It was
What
short
are
notice.
you doing?
It was
I'm
short.
like, what am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah. It could have been a day notice. It didn't matter. I would have made it there.
Yeah, and I was fortunate enough to have tickets to a preview for the new Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland that was opening. And I turned to my wife, Sarah, and I said, you know what this means, right? She's like, listen, I already know I'm not going, okay? So you need to make sure that you take Brian. You need to make sure that you take Mike and our friend Blair.
Yeah.
And again, ultimately, for us to experience this whole new world, something that we have dreamed about since we were kids, and we got to experience it together as middle-aged men. It was
Yeah.
it
Not
was
that day.
magical.
We were 7
I
years
know,
old.
we
that
were
day I
kids.
was probably 10 years old.
I know, and it was absolutely incredible. It was absolutely magical. One of the best days I've had in recent memory. I wish I could. The only thing I wish we could have done is ride Rise of the Resistance. That's why I keep thinking of Resistance. That is where the
There you
Resistance
go.
keeps
All right.
coming in.
Which is probably the best ride I've ever been on.
Yes, and again, I wish I would have experienced that with you guys as well. But things being what they are, and the pandemic and all of that stuff. But to know I just got to spend a day with you guys as my guests. And
in the Star Wars universe.
In the Star Wars universe, it was a magical time, and it was the culmination of our friendships, and all our trials and tribulations led us up to this really special moment where we got to take a picture in front of the Millennium Falcon.
And Mike, I think
oh my God, I think we were there for like a half hour, right? I mean, you guys were like taking angles. Mike's like, hey, hold this picture. I just want one with me. All right, Mike. All right, I want to do it from this profile. It was crazy.
Oh, and then the other thing is like, Tony's like, do we have to? No, we weren't allowed to have our phones in there.
They took our phones
for us. They got
posted. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
take pictures.
exactly.
Yeah.
But Tony, there's something else that's just this goes to the heart of what we're saying, and I know it's almost time to wrap this up. But Mike and I had never met Blair till that day, and you had to work half a day. So you're like, hey, here, go hang out with this guy. And here's a guy that loves Star Wars. And like, boom, we were never bored. We had all this stuff to talk about. And then last year, when the pandemic seemed to be abating and they reopened the theaters briefly, it was the four of us again who met up over in Yorba Linda and saw the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back.
And that was and that was right before I moved to Iowa.
That was another special moment. And again, it surrounds around this trilogy that means just so much to so many people. And again, you're right. We went and saw the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back in the theater, and it was a small window. And again, all four of us went. I totally forgot about that. That was the last movie I saw in the theater before the pandemic hit. That was it.
The Fandemic. There's the name for your show.
Fandemic.
And then, I had to wait a long while until I finally went and saw Black Widow in the theater.
That was the first movie I saw back in the theater, too, I think.
Yeah, same here. But it just, again, just shows you how much this affects our generation. Folks may not get that, but it really is a communal thing. It was something that you could bond over. It was somebody that you could instantly make friends with over somebody you've never met in your entire life. Brian and Mike met Blair, and boom, this one thing, and they're off and running like it's nobody's business, and it was like they knew each other for years. And
it was that common thread that brought us all together.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what these films mean to me.
I have a shirt, a Star Wars shirt. It's the original poster, and it's it's a blue shirt, and I think I even wore it that day. But it's a Star Wars shirt, and it's gold. It's the drawing, and so I wear that. And the interesting thing to me is like I'll be at the coffee shop. And it'll be, younger people, some in college, some of them even in high school. And that shirt is like, I love that shirt. And it's not the other stuff. It's that shirt. It's that. And I noticed that I get it over Star Wars. I get a lot on Guns N' Roses too, which is really interesting. And then some high school girl the other day she goes, I got a cool shirt too. And it's Pink Floyd. I'm like, hey, cool. And I'm like, all right, why is everyone going back to our stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, I just hope that kind of continues because there is a lot of magic in all of that.
That's the
one thing that I keep.
It was magic.
Yeah,
it was.
And
I think to kind of wrap things up a little bit, I think what the Mandalorian is doing is bringing that back for a lot of people.
Yeah,
I know for me, just watching the Mandalorian, and we can talk about that another time. But
I was in tears.
It's that magic feeling of what's going on. So but Star Wars
movie magic. Star Wars is legitimate movie magic, and it speaks to your heart.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen,
yes.
I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you for having us, Mike. Yeah.
This is again, this time flew by. Great time. I love talking with you guys. Yeah. We'll do this again another time, but in the spirit of today's show, I would like to say thank you, and may the Force be with you.
You as well.
Force be with you. All right.